What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to EP09. So we're going to start this one off with an update from Justin Shier at about 3.5 weeks out of his Olympia debut, and this is an Olympia debut that has a lot of people out there talking. Justin is weighing in here around 235 pounds, and I think this is why you don't go by just the scale alone. Justin actually looks, I think, bigger than what you would think at 235 pounds. I think his quad sweep may have improved slightly since his victory at the Chicago Pro, but the big thing is it's really hard to deny just the aesthetics that Justin brings to open bodybuilding. And this is what the judges have really been rewarding in the modern era. The front double bicep was always a very impressive shot for Justin, but I'm actually really impressed by his side tricep as well. Specifically, I think the overall arm development really complements that shot. Of course, Justin still has some improvements to make from a muscle mass standpoint. And yes, size does matter in bodybuilding, but I do think his overall pleasing shape and flow can make him competitive for a shot in that third call-out. And considering that this is his first Olympia in a very competitive lineup, I think that would be a huge victory for Justin here. They say that your first Olympia is when you should show up and really just enjoy the process, enjoy the experience of being an Olympian. But the second Olympia, it's all business. So you guys let me know in the comments below if you think we'll see Justin make a run at, say, that 11th or 12th place spot at this year's Olympia. I don't think that it's out of the question. Alright, so next up, Tonio Burton dropped a set of physique updates at 3.5 weeks out, and this is actually the second appearance that Tonio is making at the Open Olympia. And some people forget that Tonio was a 212 competitor, but as we have been seeing a lot of success from 212 competitors crossing over, Tonio has continued to improve since his victory at the New York Pro, and I think he's really going to do some damage this year. Tonio is another good example of how overall pleasing shape, symmetry, and flow can really land you in these conversations for a top 10 spot in a very competitive Olympia lineup. But I think there's a level of hardness and muscle maturity from Tonio that does make him stand out from the rest, as long as we do see that translate over to the stage. The level of vascularity through the quads here is very impressive as well. The fullness of the chest, the roundness of the shoulders. This looks like we will definitely witness the best version of Tonio Burton that we have ever seen on a bodybuilding stage. And as I've said it before, I will say it again here now. Tonio is really a bit of a wild card at this year's Olympia, and based on where he lands in that lineup, I think that will signal what the judges' expectations are for any competitor gunning for a top 10 spot or better at the Olympia, because we have seen bodybuilders reminiscent of some of Tonio's attributes do very well, you know, much like Dexter Jackson. Of course, very well is a massive understatement for Dexter, but it does continue to pose the question, can Tonio Burton land in that prestigious top 10 at the Olympia, or can he do better? Does Tonio's pleasing shape, flow, and aesthetics really carry him up the ranks as compared to where he may fall short from a muscle mass standpoint compared to some others? He has gained muscle, that I think we can safely say, but it will be very telling when he does stand next to some of the top names in the sport just how much he has improved, if he does indeed get that opportunity. Alright, so next up, from a muscle mass standpoint, this is where we start to talk about Nick Walker. Nick is looking absolutely massive at 3.5 weeks out in this update. He's one of the few competitors that really look like they get substantially bigger the closer they get to the show. You know, Samson is kind of like that to an extent as well, but I mean, just not like the mutant, not like Nick Walker is. And it's shots like this that really make you remember why Nick belongs in that top 3. Nick spent the last year essentially, well, since the Arnold Classic, on 2 missions. One was to bring up the quad sweep from the front. That's been a goal for Nick. And the other is to bring the freak factor, to embrace the freak factor. Nick has this insane ability to really carry an immense amount of muscle per square inch, and he comes in with a level of conditioning that really is undeniable every time he hits that stage. He was criticized for not bringing enough of the freak factor at the Arnold Classic when he really went for more conditioning above all else, and there is no denying he was extremely well conditioned at that show. Now, as for me personally, I think between the learning experience at the Arnold in terms of seeing how his body really reacts to pushing for mainly conditioning, and the entire year spent on embracing the freak factor, Nick is going to be more dangerous than ever this year. And of course, if you ask him, he will be Mr. Olympia this year. Now, you guys let me know below where you think Nick Walker is going to land in this year's Olympia lineup. Alright, so last up, we have an update here from HorseMD, Marcelo De Angelis, and we're looking at an update here at 4 weeks out from the Romania Musclefest Pro, which is also his long-awaited pro debut. And you know, at a time when confidence really wavered in HorseMD's ability to be competitive in the open lineup, we were all saying that a couple of months ago. I really think these updates definitely will have people questioning that opinion. Horse is looking to be absolutely on point here. The feathering in the quads, the midsection looks respectable, the arms look huge from the side. Like I said, I think this is very telling of how competitive he can be in the open division. You know, even that hamstring drop in the side shots really looks well developed. Now, the Romania Musclefest Pro is a 2024 Olympia qualifier, so it looks like the plan is to try and get that early qualification and spend the next year preparing for the Olympia. Or, if needed, he'll have plenty of time to compete again and still have time to make improvements. So I do expect HorseMD to do very well at this show, but whether or not he can win this show, I think is going to come down to who else may show up on show day to try to get that early qualification. Anyway, that's it for me in this video, you guys. Thank you for tuning in to EP09. Be sure to like and subscribe.